Matteo lowered the megaphone, his chest heaving, the cold Pacific Northwest air biting into his lungs. At 25, he was no stranger to these rallies. Seattle's activist scene had been his family since he left the cramped apartment in Capitol Hill where his single mom still clipped coupons and whispered prayers for his safety. But tonight felt different. The protest was against Harrington Tech's latest monstrosity, a sprawling data center on the outskirts, poised to swallow the last undeveloped waterfront along Lake Union. It would mean jobs, they said, thousands of them, but Matteo knew better. It would choke the salmon runs, poison the groundwater, and turn the neighborhood of Fremont into a ghost town of concrete and server hums. His hazel eyes, sharp and unyielding, scanned the crowd, college kids with rainbow pins on their backpacks, grizzled union vets nursing thermoses of coffee, and a few drag queens from the local scene who'd shown up in full regalia, feathers wilting but spirits unbroken. He'd started this fight 6 months ago, after a tip from an old fishing buddy whose family had lost their livelihood to similar projects up in Everett. Matteo worked days at a non-profit called Green Pulse, crunching data on urban ecology, but nights like this were his real job. His dark wavy hair clung to his forehead, soaked through, and his faded denim jacket, patched from years of wear, hung heavy on his lean frame. 5'10", wiry from runs along the Burke-Gilman Trail, he moved through the throng like a current, high-fiving a barista from his favorite Capitol Hill haunt, Elena's Brew. Then the SUV door opened. Out stepped Alexander Harrington, Alex to the boardrooms, the axe to the tabloids, tall and impeccably tailored in a charcoal wool coat that screamed old money, even if his fortune was self-made. 35, with the kind of chiseled features that graced Forbes covers, close-cropped blonde hair silvering at the temples, ice-blue eyes that dissected rooms like algorithms, and a jaw that could cut glass. He wasn't here to negotiate, security flanked him like shadows, but Alex waved them back, his polished loafers splashing into a puddle as he approached the barricade. "You're Rossi," Alex said, voice low and smooth, carrying over the chants like velvet over steel. "Not a question." Matteo's stomach twisted. Research had shown him every angle of this man, from TED Talks on sustainable innovation to whispers of ruthless buyouts. Up close, Alex smelled like cedar and expensive scotch, a cologne that invaded Matteo's space without apology. "And you're the villain of the week," Matteo shot back, stepping closer, the megaphone dangling forgotten at his side. The crowd hushed, sensing the spark. Rain traced rivulets down Alex's cheek, and for a split second, his composed mask cracked, just a flicker, like code glitching in the rain. Alex's lips curved, not quite a smile. "Villain? That's reductive. I'm building the future." He glanced at the signs, "Save our shore," "Harrington's greed kills," and something shadowed his eyes, a weariness Matteo hadn't expected. "Walk with me. Off the record." Matteo laughed, sharp and disbelieving, but his feet betrayed him, following as Alex turned toward the waterfront path. The protesters murmured, Elena calling out, "Matty, don't." But he waved her off, heart pounding not from fear, but from the electric wrongness of it all. They walked in silence at first, the lake lapping at concrete pilings, ferries ghosting through the mist like forgotten dreams. "Why show up?" Matteo finally asked, stuffing his hands into his pockets to hide their tremble. "PR stunt? Or do you actually give a damn?" Alex stopped under a dripping cedar, the branches framing him like a reluctant king. "I give more than a damn." "That data center? It's green tech, solar-powered, carbon neutral. It'll create 2,000 jobs in a city bleeding them out." His voice softened, almost confiding. "Seattle's my home too, Matteo. Born in Ballard, fished these waters as a kid before my dad lost everything in '08. Matteo searched his face, rain blurring the lines. "Vulnerability? From the axe?" It felt like a trap, but those blue eyes held no deceit, just a raw edge that mirrored his own losses, his mom's cancer scare last year, the way he dropped out of UW to pay bills. "Jobs don't mean shit if they're poisoning the place we live," he countered, voice steady despite the churn inside. "My family's Italian immigrants, we came here for clean air, not server farms leaching chemicals into the Dumish." Alex nodded, slow, like he was filing it away. "Fair. But erasure goes both ways. Without tech, this city's a rust belt waiting to happen. He pulled a card from his coat, crisp, embossed, and pressed it into Matteo's palm. Their fingers brushed, a jolt like static, and Matteo yanked back, heat flooding his cheeks. Alex's gaze lingered, assessing, before he turned. "Call me. Let's talk real solutions." As the SUV pulled away, taillights fading into the fog, Matteo stood there, card burning in his fist. The protest reignited behind him, chant swelling, but his mind replayed that touch, that gaze. Villain? Maybe. But something in Alex Harrington felt like a storm he couldn't outrun. Back at his apartment, a showbox in Capitol Hill with peeling wallpaper and a view of the Space Needle on clear days, Matteo stripped off his wet clothes, the card mocking him from the nightstand. Elena texted, "What the hell was that? Hot CEO daddy issues?" He snorted, firing back a middle finger emoji, but sleep evaded him. Instead, he paced, laptop open to Harrington Tech's filings, billions in revenue, but environmental fines stacking up like accusations. Alex's bio stared back, orphan at 12, bootstrapped from a garage in Queen and to penthouses overlooking Elliott Bay. Loneliness etched those lines, Matteo thought, unbidden. By dawn, grey light filtering through thrift store curtains, he drafted an email, "Solutions? Prove it. Coffee, neutral ground." Hitting send felt like jumping off a pier. What was he doing? This wasn't just about the city anymore, it was personal, a thread pulling taut between duty and desire. The coffee shop was a hole in the wall in Fremont, all exposed brick and mismatched mugs, the kind of place where baristas knew your order and your breakup. Matteo arrived early, nursing a black Americano, his knee bouncing under the table. When Alex walked in, casual now, in a Henley that hugged his broad shoulders and jeans that looked tailored to perfection, heads turned. Whispers followed, "Is that him? The Harrington?" Alex slid into the booth, ordering an oat milk latte with a disarming grin. Neutral ground approved. No suits, no guards. Matteo eyed him, defenses up. No bullshit either. Why me? You could buy off City Hall with pocket change. Because you're not for sale. Alex leaned in, elbows on the scarred wood. And because last night. You saw me. Not the headlines. The air thickened, charged like pre-storm static. They talked for hours, about the lake's dying ecosystem, Alex's failed carbon offset pilots, Matteo's data models showing irreversible damage. Arguments flared, voices low and heated, but beneath it, a rhythm emerged, shared stories of loss, the grind of proving yourself in a city that chewed up dreamers. Alex's laugh, rare and genuine, rumbled when Matteo recounted a botched protest involving a flock of escaped parrots. As they parted, Alex's hand grazed Matteo's shoulder, deliberate this time. Dinner? My treat. No business. Matteo hesitated, pulse racing. To talk strategy. To talk. Alex's eyes held his, blue depths promising more than words. That night, over salmon at a Pike Place spot, the barriers cracked further. Alex confessed the pressure, bored breathing down his neck, a recent breakup with a model who called him emotionally constipated. Matteo shared his queerness, the coming out at 17, the bar fights in Pioneer Square, the quiet pride of pride marches. Wine flowed, loosening tongues, and when Alex's foot brushed his under the table, neither pulled away. By the time they stumbled out, laughing at a street performer's fire routine, Seattle's lights blurred into a haze. At Matteo's door, Alex cupped his face, thumb tracing his jaw. "This scares me," Alex murmured, breath warm. "Me too," Matteo whispered, before their lips met, soft at first, then urgent, a dam breaking. Hands tangled in hair, bodies pressing close, the kiss tasting of salt and possibility. Inside, clothes shed like old skins, they explored with a hunger born of denial. Alex's touch was reverent, mapping Matteo's freckles like constellations, while Matteo's fingers dug into the CEO's back, grounding him in the now. It was messy, real, gasps echoing off thin walls, the rain pattering approval. After, Tangled in sheets, Alex traced Matteo's spine. I don't do this. Ever. Neither do I. Not with the enemy. Matteo smirked, but his heart ached with the truth. This was no fling. It was a fault line. Weeks blurred into a secret rhythm, stolen afternoons in Alex's waterfront loft, all glass walls and Puget Sound views, where they debate policy over takeout pho, then lose themselves in each other. Matteo pushed for concessions, buffer zones, community funds, and Alex listened, actually adjusted blueprints. Protests simmered down, whispers of compromise leaked to the press. But doubt gnawed. At Green Pulse, Elena cornered him. You're glowing, but it's him, isn't it? Matty, he's toxic. Matteo brushed it off, but nights alone, staring at the ceiling, he wondered, was this love or leverage? The board meeting loomed, Alex's make or break. Trust me, he said, kissing Matteo's temple. I'll fight for us, for the city. Matteo wanted to believe. God, he did. But as he watched Alex's helicopter lift off toward the office tower, a chill settled. Trust was a luxury activists couldn't afford. The boardroom on the 52nd floor of Harrington Tower gleamed like polished obsidian, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the sprawl of Seattle below, Elliott Bay a steel-gray ribbon, the Olympics faint smudges on the horizon. Alex Harrington sat at the head of the mahogany table, his reflection fractured in the glass, a mosaic of the man he'd become, architect of empires, prisoner of them. The directors, silver-haired titans in Bryony suits, leaned in, their eyes hungry for the quarterly projections flickering on the holographic display. The Lake Union project is greenlit, Alex announced, voice steady as he clicked through slides, renderings of sleek server farms, job stats climbing like stock tickers. With modifications for environmental compliance. Murmurs rippled. Evelyn Roth, the sharp-eyed venture capitalist who'd backed his first startup, arched a brow. Modifications? Harrington, we're not running a nature preserve. Timeline slip, costs balloon, shareholders won't stomach delays. Alex's jaw tightened, fingers drumming the table's edge. He thought of Matteo's voice in his ear last night, husky over wine, promise me you'll carve out that wetland. For the herons. The memory steadied him. It's non-negotiable. We've got the tech to offset impacts, AI-monitored filtration, native replanting. It's sustainable, and it's smart PR. The room cooled. Harlan Voss, the old guard from Detroit auto days, snorted. PR? This is about dominance, Alex. Tech Valley's breathing down our necks, we move now or lose ground. Projections shifted, red lines of projected losses if delayed. Alex's throat constricted, visions of layoffs, his own bootstrapped dreams crumbling like his father's mill in '08. By vote's end, the modifications passed, barely. But Voss pulled him aside after, cigar smoke curling like accusations. You're soft, kid. That activist boyfriend of yours whispering in your ear? Cut the strings, or he'll drag you under. Alex's blood iced. How did Voss know? Discretion was his armor, but Matteo's laugh echoing in his loft, their bodies entwined under dawnlight, it was a vulnerability he couldn't shield. Personal life's off limits, he growled, but Voss's smirk lingered as Alex rode the elevator down, city lights smearing into streaks. Matteo waited at the loft, cross-legged on the leather sectional, laptop balanced on knees as he tweaked a petition. His hair was tousled, a streak of highlighter on his cheek, adorable, infuriatingly so. How'd it go? He asked, setting the computer aside, eyes bright with that unfiltered hope. Alex crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted of relief and unspoken fears. We got buffers. Wetland preserved. He buried his face in Matteo's neck, inhaling the faint citrus of his shampoo. Your herons are safe. Matteo's arms wrapped tight, a sigh escaping. You fought for it. God, Alex. They tumbled onto the couch, hands roaming familiar paths, the world narrowing to heated skin and murmured praises. It was their ritual, victory sex, raw and affirming, Matteo's nails raking Alex's back as he whispered, you're more than the axe. But later, as Matteo dozed against his chest, Alex stared at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, Voss's words looping like malware. Soft. Strings. Could he afford this? The city needed the jobs, Matteo needed the wild spaces. And he needed both, but the fracture lines were widening. The next rally was smaller, a vigil at Gas Works Park, bonfires crackling against the chill as speakers shared stories, elders mourning lost fishing grounds, kids drawing salmon on poster board. Matteo stood at the mic, voice carrying over the lake's whisper. We've won a battle, but the war's on. Harrington Tech bends, but doesn't break unless we make it. Cheers erupted, but his eye scanned for Alex, half hoping, half dreading his shadow in the crowd. He didn't come. Instead, Elena tugged him aside, phone in hand. Check this. A leaked memo from Harrington Tower, Project Acceleration, environmental riders to be litigated post-construction. Matteo's stomach plummeted. It's a stall, he breathed, fury rising like bile. He promised. Elena gripped his arm. I told you. CEOs don't change, they consume. Her eye softened, though. Dump his ass, Matty. Before it guts you. He drove to the loft in a daze, rain lashing the windshield like judgment. Alex was there, sleeves rolled up, stirring risotto, domestic, disarming. Hey, love. Rough night? Matteo slapped the printout on the counter, voice shattering. Rough? You lied. Litigate post-construction? That's code for fuck the planet. Alex froze, spoon clattering. Color drained from his face. It's not board pressure. I bought time, concessions. Bullshit. Matteo's hand shook, tears pricking. You use me. Dinner dates, pillow talk, all too new to the protest. The words hung, venomous, but beneath them, agony, the nights they'd shared, dreams, Alex's confessions of isolation, Matteo's walls crumbling. Alex reached for him, but Matteo flinched. I fought, Matteo. For you or for us? Voss knows about you, they're circling. His voice cracked, blue eyes pleading. Give me a chance to fix it. The air crackled, silence heavier than the storm outside. Matteo wanted to believe, to melt into those arms again, but trust, once cracked, let in the flood. Fix it? Or fix me out of the equation? He grabbed his jacket, door slamming like a guillotine. The drive home blurred through tears, Seattle's neon a mocking kaleidoscope. His apartment felt smaller, emptier, photos of rallies mocking him from the fridge, Elena's text lighting up, crash here. He typed yeah, but deleted it, curling on the bed instead, sobs racking his frame. Alex's scent clung to his skin, a ghost he couldn't exorcise. Days bled into a cold war. Matteo threw himself into the fight, op-eds in The Stranger, viral TikToks of polluted creeks, coalitions with indigenous groups from the Suquamish tribe. Protests swelled, blocking construction entrances with kayaks on the lake. Reporters hounded him, Rossi, any comment on your rumored fling with Harrington? And he stonewalled, chin high, but inside, he fractured. Nights, he'd scroll Alex's Insta, power poses at galas, but that one candid from a hike, solo, eyes distant, tugged at his heart. Alex, meanwhile, warred on two fronts. Board meetings devolved into ambushes, Voss pushing for a smear campaign, eco-terrorists funded by rivals. At home, the loft echoed, take-out containers piling, scotch bottles emptying. He drafted texts to Matteo, miss your fire. Let's talk. Unsent. Instead, he pored over alternatives, offshore data centers, but costs soared, vertical farms integrated with tech, but timelines laughed. Voss cornered him in the executive gym, towels slung low. End it, Alex. Or we do. The threat landed like a gut punch. Alex's queerness was no secret in elite circles, discreet hookups at Hampton's weekends, but Matteo was real, a threat to the machine. That night, he drove to Capitol Hill, parking blocks from Matteo's, watching his window glow. A shadow moved, Matteo, pacing, phone to ear. Alex imagined the voice, Elena, urging move on. His fist clenched the wheel, he gunned the engine, fleeing into the night. Collision came at the next city council hearing, chambers packed with suits and sign waivers. Matteo testified first, voice steady as he laid out data, toxin models, displacement stats. This isn't development, it's displacement of families, of futures. Applause thundered, but his eyes found Alex in the back row, incognito in a hoodie, gaze locked like a lifeline. Alex's turn, polished slides, job promises, a check for community grants. But as he spoke, words faltered, Matteo's face in his mind, fierce and forgiving. We can coexist, he said, improvising. Hybrid model, tech and trails, innovation and preservation. The room stirred, Voss, in the wings, glowered. After, in the emptying hall, they collided, literally, shoulders brushing near the bathrooms. Matteo, Alex breathed, hand shooting out. Don't. But Matteo didn't pull away, exhaustion etching his features. Why are you here? To see you fight. It's beautiful. Alex's voice was raw, stripped. I'm sorry. Truly. The memo was panic, damage control. Matteo's laugh was bitter. Panic? You have billions for spin doctors. Yet he lingered, the air humming. I hate you for making me want to believe. Then believe this. Alex stepped closer, walls be damned, cupping Matteo's face. The kiss was desperate, a clash of teeth and tears, bodies slamming against the marble wall. Whispers echoed down the corridor, is that? But they didn't care, hands fisting shirts, breaths mingling in frantic apology. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. Come home, Alex murmured. Let me prove it. Matteo searched those blue depths, finding the storm, the man beneath the empire. One chance, he whispered. Don't break us. In the loft that night, they rebuilt, slow touches, whispered truths. Alex confessed the threats, Voss's leverage. Matteo shared the ache of betrayal, the fear of losing himself. Dawn found them entwined, Seattle waking below, a fragile peace settling. But peace was illusion. Voss's counterstrike hit mid-morning, anonymous leaks to the PI, headlines screaming Harrington's activist lover, conflict of interest. Photos, grainy, but unmistakable, them at dinner, the kiss in the hall. Matteo's phone exploded, green pulses board called an emergency meet. Betrayal's shadow lengthened. As Alex fielded furious calls, Matteo stared at the screen, heart splintering anew. This is war, he said quietly. And we're the casualties. The stranger's newsroom smelled of stale coffee and printer ink, a hive of clacking keyboards and half-eaten bagels under fluorescent buzz. Matteo slumped in a corner booth at the attached cafe, nursing a latte gone cold, his phone a brick of notifications he couldn't face. Homewrecker? One tabloid quipped, photoshopping his face onto a soap opera villain. Elena slid into the seat opposite, her locks tied back, expression a storm cloud. This is nuclear, Matty. Board suspending you pending review. Conflicts, they say. Matteo's laugh choked out, hollow. Conflicts? I slept with the enemy, guilty as charged. He scrubbed his face, stubble rasping. The loft's luxury felt tainted now, Alex's arms a cage of good intentions. Last night's reconciliation, tender, urgent, replayed in flashes, Alex's vows against his skin, I'll burn it all down for you. Lies or love? The line blurred. Talk to me, Elena pressed, hand over his. You're spiraling. He exhaled, the words tumbling. He promised change. I believed him, us, enough to risk everything. Tears welled, unbidden, he swiped them away. Now I'm the punchline. Activist turned arm candy. Elena's squeeze was fierce. You're more than that. Always were. Crash at mine tonight, no billionaires allowed. She paused, eyes softening. But if you love him, fight dirty. Expose the leaks. Voss's fingerprints are all over this. Matteo nodded, resolve flickering. Love. The word hung, terrifying in its truth. Alex wasn't just a fling, he was the first man who'd seen past the firebrand to the scared kid beneath, the one who'd bandaged Matteo's knuckles after bar fights, held him through Mom's chemo vigils. But love didn't pay rent or salve reputations. Across town, Alex's office was a war zone, lawyers pacing, PR flacks drafting denials, the Seattle skyline mocking through blinds. He slammed the door on a junior exec's babble, sinking into his chair, ergonomic leather, custom for his bad back from endless flights. The photo on his desk caught his eye, him and Matteo at Discovery Park, candid, windswept and grinning. His chest caved. I did this. Voss's office was next, unannounced. The older man lounged behind a desk of burled walnut, puffing a Cuban. Alex. Come to beg. Confess. Alex loomed, fists balled. The leaks you're doing. Call them off, or I walk. Take the company public without me. Voss chuckled, smoke wreathing. Walk? You'd crater your net worth. And for what? A pretty boy with a megaphone. He leaned forward, voice oily. His poison, Harrington. Distraction. Remember '08? You clawed up from nothing, don't piss it away on sentiment. Alex's vision tunneled, rage a red haze. Sentiment? That's my life you're torching. He thought of Matteo's laugh, rare and bright, the way he'd trace Alex's scars, literal and not, with gentle fingers. Retract, or face the board with your dirty tricks. Voss's eyes narrowed, calculating. Fine. But end it clean. No more scandals. A pause, predatory. Or I make sure his little non-profit starves. The threat landed like shrapnel. Alex stormed out, elevator descent a free fall mirroring his gut. He drove to Elena's, tracked from a mutual contact, tires screeching to a halt outside her Queen and War Cup. Matteo emerged, duffel slung, face paling at the sight. Go home, Alex. Voice flat, but eyes betrayed the hurt. Please. Alex stepped out, rain starting anew, plastering his shirt. Voss is pulling back. I threatened everything. Matteo halted, bag slipping. And? What did it cost you? You. The word cracked. He wants me to end us. Says you're a liability. Laughter, sharp as glass. I am. Always was. Matteo closed the distance, rain mingling with tears. But you? You're the one who could fix this city. Don't throw it for me. Alex cupped his face, thumbs brushing droplets. The city's half the fight. You're the heart. Their kiss was salt and storm, desperate under street lamps, hands clutching like lifelines. Elena watched from the window, shaking her head but smiling faintly. Back at the loft, neutral ground, Matteo insisted, they dissected the fallout over cold pizza, maps of the project spread like battle plans. We go public, Matteo said, marker circling Voss's name. Whistleblower style. Your proof, my platform. Alex hesitated, loyalty warring. It'll tank stock. Jobs lost. Short-term pain, long-term gain. Matteo's hand found his, steady. Trust the process. Like you trusted me. The plan coalesced, anonymous drops to allies, reporters, counselors, framed as insider reform. They worked through the night, Matteo's head on Alex's shoulder, dozing to the click of keys. Dawn brought a fragile hope, bodies warming sheets, touches turning languid. Alex mapped Matteo's collarbone with lips, whispering, I love you. First time spoken, it hung sacred. Matteo's breath hitched. Love you too. Eyes shining, he pulled Alex closer, their rhythm slow, reverent, acclaiming amid chaos. But hope was fleeting. Mid-morning, Voss struck preemptively, a press conference at City Hall, flanked by council allies, announcing Harrington Tech commits to Lake Union, full speed, with enhanced oversight. No buffers, no wetlands, just greenwashed lies. Cameras flashed, headlines brewed. Matteo watched on Elena's TV, gut twisting. He played us. But Alex's phone buzzed, texts from bored allies, Voss overreached. Vote incoming. The counterpunch. They mobilized, Matteo rallying protesters at the waterfront, kayaks forming a human chain, Alex leaking memos to trusted journalists, framing Voss as the rogue. The stranger ran the exclusive at noon, Harrington insider exposes boardroom sabotage. Stock dipped, then rebounded on reform buzz. Voss called Alex that evening, voice venom. You little shit. This ends now. Ends with you gone. Alex hung up, adrenaline surging, and drove to the protest site. Matteo was there, drenched, megaphone aloft. We've got him on the ropes, keep the pressure. Spotting Alex, he lowered it, crowd parting like a wave. You came. Matteo's smile broke through exhaustion. Always. Alex pulled him into the fray, not as savior, but partner, handing out flyers, chanting till horse. Night fell, bonfires roaring, and in the shadows of a willow, they stole a moment, foreheads touching, breath sinking. We're winning, Alex murmured. But victory's edge cut both ways. As kayaks bobbed, a speedboat, hired muscle, barreled through, wake capsizing crafts. Shouts erupted, Matteo dove to help a flailing teen, but the churn pulled him under. Alex's heart stopped, Matteo. Diving in after, water icy shock. He surfaced with Matteo gasping, sputtering, clinging. Security swarmed the boat, Voss's prince inevitable. On shore, wrapped in blankets, Matteo coughed, eyes fierce. Bastards. Alex held him, shaking. Never again. I end this tomorrow. Board convened at dawn, Alex at the helm, evidence dossiers thumping the table. Voss resigns, or we dissolve partnerships. Proof mounted, emails, wire transfers to the boat op. Voss blustered, but cracks showed, resignation by lunch, stock soaring on cleanup news. News broke, Harrington ousts corrupt exec, project paused for review. Protesters cheered at Green Pulse HQ, Matteo reinstated with apologies. He met Alex at the loft, door barely shut before they collided, relief pouring into kisses, clothes shedding in a trail. Skin to skin, they moved with grateful fury, Alex's mouth charting Matteo's bruises from the lake, Matteo's hand soothing Alex's tension knots. We did it, Matteo gasped, arching. Together. Alex's release came with a vow, unspoken but etched. After, sated and spent, they lay tracing patterns on each other's chests. What's next? Matteo asked, voice small. Alex kissed his temple. Us. The real work. But shadows lingered. Voss's exit was clean, but grudges festered. A week later, an envelope arrived at Matteo's door, no return address. Inside, photos, explicit, from a hidden cam in the loft. End it, or these go viral. Blackmail, Voss's parting gift. Matteo's hands trembled as he showed Alex. He won't stop. Alex's face hardened, but I softened on Matteo. Then we fight smarter. Together. The crisis deepened, love their anchor in the gale. The blackmail photos hit like a sucker punch, glossy prints fanned across the loft's coffee table like evidence in a noir film, Matteo's lithe form arched in ecstasy, Alex's face buried in his neck, timestamps from their most unguarded nights. Matteo paced the Persian rug, barefoot and furious, while Alex sat stone still, knuckles white on a tumbler of bourbon. Seattle's evening fog pressed against the windows, muffling the ferry horns like distant regrets. Delete them? Pay him off. Matteo's voice cracked, olive skin flushed with rage. At 25, he'd faced down cops and councilmen, but this, his body weaponized, their intimacy twisted into leverage, stripped him raw. Alex set the glass down, deliberate. No. We expose him. All of it. His blue eyes, usually so composed, blazed with a protectiveness that made Matteo's chest ache. 35 and armored in boardroom battles, Alex Harrington was unraveling for him, threads of control fraying. I've got a PI on payroll. Voss's trail leads to shell companies, maybe even election tampering. We flipped the script. Matteo sank beside him, head dropping to Alex's shoulder. And the fallout? My face, our faces, plastered everywhere. Green Pulse barely trusts me now, this'll torch it. He traced a scar on Alex's forearm, a relic from a childhood accident, grounding himself in the familiar. I'm not ashamed of us. But the world. It's not kind to queers fighting from the fringes. Alex turned, cupping Matteo's jaw, thumb stroking the stubble he'd grown to love. Then we make it kinder. Starting with us. The kiss started soft, a balm, but deepened into hunger, lips parting, tongues mapping apologies. Hands roamed, Matteo's fingers threading Alex's hair, tugging just enough to elicit a groan, Alex's palms sliding under Matteo's tee, kneading the taut muscles of his back. They migrated to the bedroom, shedding clothes like burdens, bodies colliding on silk sheets. It was slower this time, deliberate, a reclaiming. Alex worshipped Matteo's skin with open-mouthed kisses, from collarbone to hipbone, drawing out gasps that echoed off the high ceilings. Mine, he murmured against a thigh, voice gravel. Matteo arched, hands fisting sheets, whispering Alex's name like a prayer as pleasure crested, wave after wave. Afterward, spent and tangled, Alex held him close, heartbeat sinking to Matteo's. We'll weather this. I swear. Sleep came fitful, dreams haunted by flashbulbs and jeers. Morning brought Elena's call, urgent, laced with profanity. Matty, get to the office. Donors pulling out, boards in meltdown over that scandal. Matteo dressed in a fog, Alex pressing coffee into his hands. Go. I'll handle Voss. Green Pulse's bullpen was a tinderbox, interns whispering, printers whirring manifestos. The executive director, Marcus, a burly ex-marine with a rainbow tattoo, waved him in, face grim. Photos leaked to a blogger. Not full blast yet, but it's viral in activist chats. He slid a tablet over, grainy thumbnails, Matteo's vulnerability pixelated but unmistakable. Nausea rose. I can explain. Marcus held up a hand. Don't. We know Voss's playbook, his hit unions before. His eyes softened, paternal. But optics, kid. Suspensions lifted, but stepped back. Let Elena front the next rally. Matteo nodded, numb, fleeing to the rooftop garden, a tangle of raised beds and beehives overlooking the IR5 crawl. He lit a rare cigarette, inhaling deep, the smoke curling like doubts. Below, Seattle pulsed, joggers in Discovery Park, baristas slinging lattes, oblivious to the fault lines. His phone buzzed. Alex, PI confirms, Voss bribed a council aide. Press conference, noon. You with me? Always. Matteo typed, pocketing the phone. But as he descended, Elena cornered him in the stairwell, arms crossed. You're an idiot, Rossi. Love's blind, but this? It's suicide. Her voice wavered, sisterly concern cracking through. He'll choose empire over you. Every time. The words landed like Voss's photos. Maybe. But I'm choosing him back. He hugged her fierce, inhaling her lavender oil. Cover for me. She sighed, relenting. Till it blows up. Then I told you so. The press conference was at Harrington Towers Plaza, media scrum thick under a rare blue sky. Alex stood at the podium, navy suit impeccable, but his tie, a subtle pride stripe Matteo had picked, betrayed the man beneath. Flanked by lawyers and a Sequamish elder for gravitas, he cleared his throat, voice amplified citywide. Ladies, gentlemen, Harrington Tech stands for innovation, not intimidation. Slides projected, Voss's emails, bank trails, the boat incident tied to his PAC. Gasps rippled, cameras whirred. Mr. Voss's actions were rogue, and he's been terminated. Further, we're halting Lake Union construction indefinitely, redirecting to brownfield sites in Kent, full environmental audits. Questions flew. Scandal with the activist? Alex's jaw ticked. My personal life is private. But let me say, love makes us better, if we're brave enough. Eyes found Matteo in the crowd, a nod passing like current. Reporters swarmed post-brief, but Alex slipped away, finding Matteo by the fountain. You did it, Matteo breathed, pride swelling. We. Alex pulled him into a shadowed alcove, kiss brief but electric. Dinner? Celebrate. Pike Place that evening buzzed with post-rally energy, fishmongers tossing salmon, buskers strumming grunge covers. They claimed a corner table at Matt's in the market, candlelight dancing on exposed brick. Over Dungeness crab, they decompressed, Alex recounting Voss's meltdown voicemail, Matteo sharing Marcus's gruff support. Laughter flowed, easy, the wine loosening guards. You're glowing, Alex said, foot hooking Matteo's under the table. You're biased. But Matteo flushed, leaning in. This, us, feels like a win. The check brought reality, a text from Elena, Voss countersuing. Defamation. Your boy's named. Matteo's fork clattered. He's not done. Alex's hand covered his, steady. Neither are we. Law teams on it, slam dunk. They walked the market after, arms brushing, stealing tastes of chocolate from Chakar. At the Ferris wheel, Alex bought tickets on impulse. The pod lifted slow, city unfurling below, lights winking like stars, space needle piercing the dusk. Enclosed, they kissed unhurried, deep, exploratory, hands wandering hems. Marry me, Alex murmured against Matteo's lips, half jest, half desperate. Matteo pulled back, hazel eyes wide. What? Not now. Someday. Alex's grin was boyish. Just. Picture it. The image bloomed, vows on a rainy bluff, Seattle as witness. Yeah, Matteo whispered. Someday. Home was the loft, where celebration turned carnal, shower steam fogging mirrors, bodies slick under jets, then bed, where Alex pinned Matteo gently, thrusts measured, gazes locked. Forever. Alex gasped, climax building. Forever, Matteo echoed, shattering together. Bliss shattered dawn, Voss's suit filed, alleging fraud, dragging their affair into legalese. Plaintiff claims emotional distress from workplace romance interference. Paparazzi camped Alex's building, green pulses donors fled. Matteo fielded calls at Elena's, voice steady but soul fraying. Fight or fold, she asked, brewing tea. Fight. But doubt crept, was love worth the city's scorn? Alex arrived at dusk, takeout in hand, pad thai, Matteo's comfort. Court date set. We countersue for extortion. He set bags down, pulling Matteo close. Runaway plan? Vancouver's nice. Laughter bubbled, tension easing. Tempting. They ate cross-legged on the floor, plotting, media allies, crowdfunding for legal. Night deepened into touches, comforting, then igniting. Alex's mouth on Matteo's neck, drawing moans, Matteo's legs wrapping, urging deeper. It was salvation, bodies affirming what words couldn't. Post-coital haze, Alex traced Matteo's ribs. I never thought I'd have this. You make me want more, kids, maybe, or just quiet Sundays. Matteo smiled, sleepy. Surrogate? Or adopt a rescue pup first? Both. Laughter rumbled, but sleep brought dreams, Voss's face morphing to Alex's, betrayal's echo. The trial loomed, a crucible. Voss's lawyers painted Matteo as gold digger, Alex as duped fool, depositions dredging private texts, miss your fire, love. The courtroom in downtown Seattle was stuffy, oak benches worn, judge a no-nonsense woman from Tacoma. Matteo testified first, voice unwavering, this wasn't manipulation. It was real. Cross-exam, so you targeted Mr. Harrington? No. I targeted his conscience. Alex followed, unflinching, Voss threatened my partner. That's not business, That's bullying. Jury deliberated 2 days, agony of waiting, Matteo pacing Alex's hotel suite, Paps blocked the loft. On the third, verdict, Voss liable, settlement millions, injunction on leaks. Cheers erupted outside, they embraced in the hall, tears mingling. Victory tasted bittersweet. We saved the city, Matteo said later, over victory beers at a dive in Belltown. And us. Alex clinked bottles. To more battles. But as they walked home, hand in hand under streetlights, a figure detached from shadows, Voss, gaunt, eyes feral. This isn't over, Harrington. He lunged, knife glinting. Alex shoved Matteo back, blade grazing his arm, blood blooming dark. Chaos, shouts, sirens wailing. Voss tackled, cuffed, Alex slumped, paling. Hospital ER was fluorescent hell, stitches, transfusions, Matteo's hand vice-tight in Alex's. Stay with me, he begged, voice breaking. Alex's grip weakened, eyes fluttering. Always. Love. Darkness claimed him, monitors beeping frantic. Matteo's world narrowed to that grip, slipping. The hospital corridor stretched infinite, linoleum gleaming under harsh fluorescence like a vein of false hope, and Matteo Rossi collapsed against the wall, his world reduced to the swing of those double doors where surgeons vanished with Alex's blooded form. 36 hours since the stabbing, Voss's final, feral lash, and time had warped, minutes dragging like hours, Elena's arm around him a lifeline he barely felt. He's strong, Matty, she murmured for the 10th time, her voice a threadbare comfort. But Matteo's hazel eyes, red-rimmed and hollow, fixed on nothing, replaying the glint of steel, Alex's grunt of pain, the hot spray on his cheek. Nurses bustled past, charts in hand, a vending machine hummed indifferently nearby. Seattle General's ER was a microcosm of the city, overworked docs with coffee stains, families huddled in vinyl chairs, the air thick with antiseptic and unspoken fears. Matteo's phone vibrated, Green Pulse group chat, how's Alex? Rally tomorrow, dedicate to him? He silenced it, guilt twisting. The project was paused, Voss jailed pending assault charges, but victory soured without Alex's blue-eyed grin to share it. The surgeon emerged at last, mask dangling, face unreadable. Mr. Rossi? He's stable. Sliced the deltoid, nicked an artery, but we repaired it. Lost blood, but vitals are holding. Relief crashed, knees buckling, Elena caught him, hugging fierce. ICU for observation. You can see him soon. Inside, Alex lay pale against starched sheets, fours snaking, monitors beeping a mechanical lullaby. Matteo sank into the visitor chair, hand enveloping Alex's, cool, but pulsing. You idiot, he whispered, tears tracing familiar paths. Hero complex much. Alex's eyelids fluttered, a ghost of a smile. Had to. Protect my future. Laughter choked through sobs. Shut up and heal. They talked in murmurs, Voss's arraignment, board's emergency pivot to ethics reforms, but exhaustion claimed Alex again, leaving Matteo vigilant, thumb-stroking knuckles. Discharge came 3 days later, against medical advice, Alex insisted, arm in sling, Matteo playing reluctant nurse. The loft felt cavernous, sunlight slanting through blinds like accusatory fingers. No work, Matteo ordered, fluffing pillows on the sectional. Broth and bad TV only. Alex saluted weakly. Yes, sir. But his eyes, shadowed with painkillers, held depths unspoken. Nights, Matteo traced the bandage, kissing the edge. Scared me, he confessed, voice small. Me too. Alex pulled him down, careful. Thought I'd lose you, Gus. Their lovemaking was gentle, exploratory, mouths lingering, hands mapping hurts, release a soft crest rather than storm. Marry me, Alex whispered post-climax, ring box materializing from the nightstand, platinum, simple, with a Puget Sound pearl. Matteo's breath hitched, tears pricking. Yes. God, yes. The kiss sealed it, promises etched in salt. Engagement leaked, reporters at the door, congrats from Marcus, but joy was tentative, Voss's trial soared overhead. Pre-trial buzzed, assault, extortion, conspiracy. Alex testified, voice steady, he came for me because I chose integrity and love. Matteo followed, unflinching on the stand, Voss weaponized our privacy. But we won't hide. Verdict, guilty, 15 years. Outside court, flashes blinded, inside the cab home, Alex sagged against Matteo. It's over. But closure was illusion. Board whispers grew, Harrington's too volatile post-scandal. Stock wobbled, a proxy fight brewed, old allies like Evelyn hedging. Alex threw himself into reforms, community boards for projects, queer-inclusive hiring, but fatigue shadowed him, arm aching in damp weather. Matteo noticed first, the distracted stares during dinners at Carnley's, where city lights twinkled approval, the way Alex's laugh rang hollow over weekend hikes in the Cascades. Talk to me, Matteo urged one rainy afternoon, curled on the balcony overlooking the Sound. Alex sipped scotch, sling discarded but scar pink. Doubts. Was it worth it? The blood, the headlines, for what? His voice cracked. I built this to escape my dad's failures. Now? Feels like I'm failing you. Matteo's heart clenched. He knelt, hands on Alex's knees. You're not. You saved the wetlands, ousted a tyrant. Us, we're the win. Kiss deepening, he led them inside, bodies affirming, Matteo straddling, slow rocks-drawing groans, Alex's good hand gripping hips. Feel that? Real. But cracks spidered. A board dinner at Alex's, catered salmon, string quartet, turned ambush, Evelyn cornering Matteo in the kitchen. He's spiraling, dear. The attack. PTSD whispers. If you love him, get him help, or step aside. Matteo's champagne flute trembled. Step aside? I'm in this. She sighed, maternal. Then fight for his soul, not just the city. Alex overheard, later exploding in the study, you two plotting my intervention. Voice slurred, pills and liquor mixing. I'm fine. Empire's intact. You're drowning. Matteo's shout echoed, first real fight. Therapy, Alex. Or I walk. Silence stretched, broken by Alex's sob, roar, UNCEO. Can't lose you. But the dark. It pulls. Collapse into embrace, confession spilling, nightmares of blood, father's suicide note resurfacing in the chaos. They started small, a therapist in Capitol Hill, sessions over herbal tea. Alex resisted, then relented, peeling layers, orphan grief, closet pressures in tech bro culture. Matteo attended couples ones, sharing his own, immigrant shame, activist burnout. Progress inched, walks in Volunteer Park, where cherry blossoms dusted their shoulders, lazy Sundays cooking Nonna's recipes, laughter filling the loft. Romance rekindled, deeper, a weekend at a cabin in the Olympics, no signal, just firelight and skin. Alex proposed formally there, knee down by the lake, ring glinting. Matteo Rossi, be my chaos. Tears and yeses, then lovemaking on a quilt, stars wheeling above, bodies a symphony of healed wounds. Back in Seattle, wedding plans bloomed, small, at Gas Works Park, kayaks as flower girls. But the board struck, vote of no confidence, Evelyn abstaining. Reforms are noble, the chair emailed, but stability first. Alex tendered resignation, quiet, on his terms, handing reins to a successor with green mandates. Freedom tasted sharp, first days unstructured, Alex tinkering in a home office, Matteo rallying for the next fight, housing equity. Evenings, they cooked, pasta carbonara, arguments over garlic, then tumbled to bed, explorations playful, toys from a discreet order, boundaries pushed in trust. One night, post a particularly inventive session, blindfolds, whispers, Alex held Matteo close. What now? Consultant? Philanthropy? Whatever scares you most. Matteo grinned. With me. But scars itched. A Voss appeal hearing loomed, dredging trauma. Alex's nightmares returned, waking sweat-soaked. "He'll get out," he gasped one dawn, clutching Matteo. "Come for us again." "Hold on." Matteo soothed, but fear ceded, their haven, fragile. The hearing was procedural, but Voss's glare from the dock burned, defiance unbroken. Denied, but the echo lingered. That night, over wine at a Fremont brewpub, Alex shattered. "I can't, for the what ifs. Maybe I should have paid him off, kept you safe." Matteo's fork stilled. "Safe? Or caged?" Voice rising, hurt lacing. "You chose us. Don't regret that." "I don't, God, I don't." Alex's hand shook. "But the cost. Your face in those photos still haunts." The fight escalated home, accusations flying, Matteo's stubborn idealism, Alex's executive fragility. Doors slammed, Matteo stormed to Elena's, duffel in tow. "Space," he texted. "Need to breathe." Alone, Alex spiraled, Scotch bottle emptied, walls closing. Dawn found him on the balcony, rain lashing, contemplating the drop. Phone rang, Matteo. "Coming back." "We talk." No running. Relief flooded. They met at the kitchen island, coffee steaming. "I'm scared too," Matteo admitted. "Of losing you to this. Then we build armor. Together." Therapy doubled, a support group for queer survivors. Healing wove slow, date nights at the Rep, scripts mirroring their drama, a trip to Italy, Matteo's roots, where Nonna pinched Alex's cheeks, declaring, "Buono per mio nipote." Back, engagement party at Green Pulse, rainbow cake, toasts to resilience. But mid-dance, Alex paled, clutching his side, scar infection, fever spiking. "ER again, antibiotics, overnight watch." Matteo vigilant, whispering stories of future, our kid, splashing in the lake we saved. Alex rallied, discharge with promises. No more hospitals. Deal. Kiss sealed, but fragility underscored, love's a marathon, not sprint. As wedding neared, doubts crested. Rehearsal dinner at Alex's club, stuffy, old guard, Evelyn pulled Matteo aside. "He's adrift without the crown. Sure he's ready for forever?" Matteo's resolve hardened. "He is. We are." Vows exchanged under park willows, rain holding off, kayaks bobbing witness. In chaos and calm, Alex vowed, ring sliding home. But honeymoon in Maui, beaches, Mai Tais, brought confession, "I want kids." Surrogacy. Matteo's joy stuttered. "Me too. But the world? For them?" Alex's face fell. "Scared I'll fail, like Dad." Honesty's blade. "A little. But we'll learn." Idle ended abrupt, call from Seattle, successor botching reforms, lake dredging resumed illegally. Alex's blood boiled. "I have to go back." Matteo nodded, but tension simmered. "Home, fight reignited, your past calls, will it always?" Alex's shout, "It's our fight." Words like Voss's knife, cutting deep. Matteo packed, heartbreaking. "Fix the city. Fix us after." Door closed, leaving Alex in echoes, crises more yawning. The rain returned to Seattle like an old grudge, sheets slanting against the windows of Alex's, their loft, now a hollow shell echoing with Matteo's absence. 3 days since the blowout, and Alexander Harrington paced the hardwood like a caged wolf, arm scar throbbing in sympathy with his fracturing resolve. The city below churned oblivious, ferries cutting wakes, techies hustling to co-working hives, but up here, isolation gnawed, whiskey tumbler in hand, though he'd sworn off it post-trial. 35 felt ancient, the pearl ring on his finger a mocking weight, vows fresh but vows broken. Elena's text pinged, "He's at my place." Crashing hard. "Give space, but not silence." Alex typed thanks. "Tell him I love him," deleted, resent. Instead, he drove, sling long gone, but caution in every turn, to the dredging site. Orange machines growled at dawn, silt clouding the lake like fresh betrayal. Workers glanced warily. The successor, a slick Yale boy named Trent, met him at the chain link, clipboard in hand. "Alex. Heard you were out." Trent's smile was plastic. "Board greenlit acceleration, cost savings." "Bullshit." Alex's voice was gravel. "That was our compromise, wetlands intact." He flashed old credentials, bluffing access, snapping photos of unpermitted pipes leaching into the water. Heart raced, not from fear, but fury. This was Matteo's battle, their shared scar. Back home, he drafted a whistleblower brief, anonymous, to the Seattle Times, detailing Trent's shortcuts, CCing allies. Send. Then collapse on the couch, head in hands. "What are you doing?" he muttered to the empty room. "Fighting for the city, yes, but for them? Or penance?" Matteo, meanwhile, nursed wounds at Elena's Queen and Airy, a cozy nest of plants and protest posters. Sleep evaded, body curled fetal under quilts, replaying the fight, Alex's eyes, wild with possession, his own voice, sharp as the knife that scarred. 25, and love felt like quicksand, pulling him under just as he surfaced. Morning brought coffee and Elena's tough love. "He's a mess, but so are you." "Call him." "No." Matteo's jaw set, but fingers itched for the phone. Instead, he hit the trails, Burke Gilman, pounding pavement till lungs burned, mind clearing to essentials, the lake, the lies, the life they'd sketched in Maui Sands. By noon, Green Pulse called, "Emergency," Trent's crew hit a heron rookery, chicks orphaned, oil slicked. Rally formed spontaneous, Matteo at the fore, megaphone barking, "This ends now, for the birds, for our home." Crowd swelled, families, fishers, drag divas, kayaks launching anew. Chants rose, but Matteo's eyes scanned for Alex, absence a fresh cut. Word spread, Alex's leak hit the wires, headlines screaming ex-CEO exposes dredging scandal. Reporters mobbed the site, Trent folded, halting ops. Elena texted Matteo a link, "With your man's back in the ring." Pride warred with hurt. He drove to the loft unannounced, key turning like a dare. Alex looked wrecked, stubble shadowing jaw, eyes bloodshot, but rose, tentative. "Matteo." "Don't." But steps closed the gap. "The leak, bold." "Had to." Alex's hand hovered, then dropped. "For you." "Us." Air thickened, unsaid words crackling. Matteo's resolve crumbled, he surged forward, fisting Alex's shirt, kiss crashing like waves. "Missed you," gasped between breaths, hands roaming, tugging at belts. They stumbled to the rug, urgent, Alex's mouth hot on Matteo's throat, Matteo's legs locking, friction building frantic. Release came shuddering, a purge, sweat slick, clinging. After, sprawled, Matteo traced the scar anew. "I'm sorry." "For doubting." Alex's exhale ragged. "Me too." "For clinging." Therapy notes surfaced, Alex's, shared, fear of abandonment roots deep. "Dad left after Mom died. I won't let go, but I push. Vulnerabilities bridge. We learn. Together." Matteo's smile tentative. "Couples retreat? Before wedding redo." Alex's laugh bubbled, genuine. "Sappy." "Yes." The retreat was in the San Juan's, ferry ride to Orcas Island, cabin amid madronas, therapist-led circles with flannel-shirted couples. Sessions peeled, Matteo's immigrant guilt, always proving worth, mirroring Alex's orphan drive. Evenings, bonfires, and stargazing, hands entwined. One night, under quilts on the deck, they made love slow, Alex entering with reverence, gazes locked, whispers of mine, always. Climax synced, a healing wave. Return brought momentum, wedding planning reignited, venue secured at gas works, turf circle, industrial bones softened by lights. Invites went out, Elena maid of honor, Marcus officiant, Nonna flying in. But hurdles, Alex's ex surfaced, the model, Derek, texting congrats. Or sabotage? Jealousy flared, Matteo confronted, block him. Done. But trust's echo lingered. Deeper crisis brewed, Alex's health check, routine post-stab, revealed arrhythmia, stress-induced. Pacemaker? Surgery. Matteo's voice trembled in the cardiologist's office, sterile white walls closing. Minor procedure, the doc assured. But lifestyle, less adrenaline. Alex joked post-appointment, no more knife fights. But I shadowed. Home, over tea, he confessed, kids. Maybe wait. Can't risk. Matteo's heart sank, but he nodded. Your health first. Always. Surgery day, Matteo in waiting room, thumbing prayer beads from Nonna, Elena distracting with gossip. Hours ticked, then, success. Alex emerged groggy, hand-seeking. Marry me tomorrow? Laughter through tears. Planned for next month. Impatient. Grin weak, but real. Recovery nested them, Matteo cooking bone broth, reading aloud from Queer Lit, Call Me By Your Name, voices intertwining. Romance simmered low, baths drawn scented, massages turning intimate, touches featherlight over incisions. One evening, candlelit, Alex knelt, again. Renew vows? Here, now. Matteo pulled him up, kissing deep. Yes. Words exchanged impromptu, in sickness, in fight. Rings reslid, sealing. But city's pull tugged, Trent indicted, but corruption snaked deeper, council bribes. Alex consulted pro bono, Matteo rallying votes. Stress mounted, Alex's heart monitor beeped warnings. Slow down, Matteo begged after a late strategy sesh. Can't. This is us. Argument simmered, but cooled in bed, Matteo topping for once, control yielding trust, moans mingling with rain. Climax built to revelation, Elena's call, pregnant surrogate matched. If you want. Joy exploded, hugs, tears. Our family, Alex breathed. But fate twisted, Nonna's flight delayed, heart issue in Italy. Matteo flew out, leaving Alex to solo a hearing. Alone, panic crested, monitor alarming during testimony. Ambulance, ER, false alarm, but warning. Matteo returned frantic, finding Alex in bed, pale. I almost. Sure. Embrace tight. We're enough. Family starts here. Healing deepened, group therapy, where Alex shared scars literal emotional, Matteo his fears of loss. Bonds with others, a couple post coming out, another surviving assault, wove support. Wedding day dawned clear, Parker bloom, guests in pride pins. Vows heartfelt, you saved me from isolation, from myself. Rings exchanged, kiss under cheers. Honeymoon deferred for Nonna's recovery, but micro-moon, cabin redux, no phones. Days blurred, hikes, cooking, nights ablaze or positions new, laughter in afterglow. Return, surrogate contract signed, first appointment. Ultrasound heartbeat, tiny, theirs. Joy, but terror, world ready for us three? City healed too, lake cleaned, community center rising on dredge site, Harrington Rossi funded. But old ghosts, Voss's appeal denied, but letter smuggled, rotten to core. Alex burned it, but unease seeded. One night, post-dinner, heart monitor flatlined, tech glitch, but panic real. I'm dying inside, Alex admitted. The what ifs? Therapy breakthrough, EMDR for trauma, nightmares fading. Matteo's steadiness anchor. Crisis crested at 6 months pregnant surrogate call, complication, bedrest. Our baby's at risk, Alex choked. Matteo held him, resolve steel. We'll fight, like always. Vigil began, drives to appointments, hand on belly listening kicks. Love's depth plumbed, we're parents. But in quiet, Matteo whispered, you saved the city. Now, let it save you, us. Alex nodded, tears. Healing starts home. The surrogate's apartment in Ballard smelled of chamomile tea and fresh laundry, a cozy burrow of throw blankets and ultrasound prints pinned to the fridge like talismans, and Matteo Rossi knelt by the couch where Lila, 28, a teacher with a laugh like wind chimes, reclined, her hand resting on the swell of her belly. 6 months in, and the pregnancy had hit turbulence, preeclampsia whispers, bed rest mandated, but the heartbeat on the monitor thrummed steady, a defiant drum. "He's kicking like a protester," Lila teased, wincing as Matteo pressed his palm to the curve, feeling the flutter, a miracle in motion. Alex hovered in the kitchenette, brewing decaf, his broad frame comically out of place amid the pastel mugs. The scar on his arm had faded to silver, a tattoo now inked beside it, a heron in flight, Matteo's nod to the wetlands they preserved. 35, post-pacemaker, he moved with deliberate ease, no more sprints to boardrooms, just this, fatherhood's quiet revolutions. "How's our little revolutionary?" he asked, handing over a mug, blue eyes soft with that post-trauma glow, the kind earned in therapy rooms and rainy reconciliations. Matteo grinned, hazel depths crinkling. Plotting world domination, clearly. At 26 now, the activist fire still burned, but tempered, Green Pulse director, spearheading urban farms from brown fields once-eyed for servers. Their life was a tapestry, loft mornings with espresso and policy debates, evenings at Lila's for check-ins, weekends kayaking the now pristine Lake Union, where salmon leaped like victories. Lila's complication had been the latest quake, bed rest stretching weeks, Alex and Matteo tag-teaming meals, foot rubs, midnight drives to monitor contractions. Fear had crested that first dash, monitors beeping frantic, but ultrasounds confirmed stability, baby boy's fine. Mom's a trooper. Now, in the afterglow, they exhaled, hands linking over the bump, Alex's steady grip, Matteo's calloused from megaphones and trail runs. "You two are saints," Lila sighed, eyes misty. "Queer dads-to-be, fighting City Hall one veggie basket at a time." Alex chuckled, low. "Says the woman carrying our spawn." But his free hand found Matteo's nape, thumb stroking, a ritual touch, grounding. The past year had forged them, post-Voss justice, the board's clean handover, their wedding's intimate vows under willow fronds. Honeymoon postponed again for Nonna's chemo, successful, thank God, but stolen in San Juan snippets, cliffside picnics, bodies entwined to loon calls, whispers of family sealing deeper than rings. Back home that evening, the loft thrummed with routine, Matteo chopping kale for stir-fry, Alex at the island sketching playground designs for the community center, Harrington Rossi Haven, plaque to read. Rain pattered approval, Seattle's eternal _. "Think he'll have your eyes?" Alex mused, glancing up, blonde hair tousled from a nap. "Or your stubborn jaw?" Matteo leaned over, kissing the crown, a peck turning lingering, hands cupping face. Heat simmered, familiar, Alex rising to meet, tongues tangling slow, bodies aligning against the counter. "Dinner can wait," Matteo murmured, nipping earlobe. Alex's groan rumbled. Insatiable activist. But he yielded, lifting Matteo effortlessly onto the island, careful of the edge, jeans shoving down in tandem. Exposure cool, then warming, Alex's mouth trailing south, reverent on hip bones, drawing gasps. Matteo's fingers threaded hair, guiding, arching as heat built, wet, insistent, climax coiling tight. Release shattered, Alex swallowing every pulse, then rising for a claiming kiss, salt shared. Sated, they ate cross-legged on the floor, stir-fry cooling, laughter bubbling over baby name debates, Luca? For Nonna's village. Or Finn, like the salmon runs. Vulnerability wove in, Alex admitting therapy's latest, dreams of Voss fading, but fatherhood terrors rising. What if I'm like Dad? Distant, broken. Matteo's fork paused, eyes fierce. You're not. You're here, every kick, every crisis. Hand over heart. We break cycles together. Nods, embraces, night deepened into bed, where touches turned tender, spooning, Alex's palm on Matteo's chest, sinking breaths. Love you, whispered into dark. Love you more. Sleep claimed, dreams gentle, a toddler splashing puddles, their hands joined. Months accelerated, birth at dawn, August sun gilding the delivery room. Lila's labor fierce, hours of grips and gasps, but at 7:42 a.m., cry pierced, Luca Alexander Rossi Harrington, 7 pounds, tuft of dark hair, eye squinting blue hazel promise. Matteo cut the cord, tears streaming, Alex held him first, or fracturing his face. Hey, little man. Welcome to the fight. Hand over to Matteo, tiny weight, perfect. Our son. Kisses rained, Lila's exhausted grin, Elena's whoop from the hall. Homecoming blurred joy and chaos, Loft baby proved, Nonna cooing Italian lullabies via Zoom, Marcus delivering car seats like armaments. Sleepless nights bonded deeper, Alex pacing with midnight bottles, Matteo rocking to folksy playlists, their exhaustion laced with wonder. Romance adapted, stolen showers, quickies in laundry nooks, Luca's down, laughter muffling moans. But parenthood's underbelly surfaced, colic wails testing tempers, Alex's arrhythmia flaring under sleep date. 1:03 a.m. meltdown, Luca inconsolable, Alex snapped, why won't he stop, hands slamming counter. Silence fell, regret instant. I'm sorry. Failing already. Matteo scooped the baby, other arm round Alex. Breathe. We're rookies. Rocking tandem, song hummed, hush, little baby, calm descended. Dawn therapy call, postpartum for dad's real, support groups help. They joined one, virtual, with bleary-eyed queer parents swapping hacks. City wove-in, first outing to the center, Luca in sling, locals cooing Harrington's air. Nah, Ross's firebrand. Dedication plaque unveiled, for the shores we saved, the futures we build. Pride swelled, but Matteo's op-ed that week struck deeper, from protests to playgrounds, love's long game. Challenges crested at 6 months, Luca's fever spiked, meningitis scare ruled out, but tests endless. Waiting room vigil echoed Alex's stabbed night, Matteo's hand vice. Not again, Alex prayed, forehead to wall. Cleared, home, collapse into heap, Luca nursing bottle. We're unbreakable, Matteo vowed. Alex's nod tear-streaked. Because of you. Growth layered, Luca's firsts, roll, giggle, cruel toward the heron mobile. Family expanded, Nonna visiting, teaching pasta twirling, Elena auntie spoiling with Onas's scrawled future activist. Alex's philanthropy bloomed, fund for queer youth, Matteo's ecology camps integrated. Anniversary marked quiet, gas works picnic, Luca babbling on blanket. Vows renewed impromptu, through betrayals and births. Kiss sunset gilded, Luca clapping chubby hands. But humanity's arc bent, a teen at Alex's fund, runaway, Voss echo, triggered flashback. Therapy delved, Matteo held space, listening nights. You're my hero, he said post-breakthrough. Yours first. Alex's grin returned, full. Luca's first birthday, park bash, kayaks circling cake. Toasts to resilience, city healed, Voss rotted forgotten. As dusk fell, Matteo cradled sleeping son, Alex's arm round shoulders. We saved the city, he murmured. Alex kissed temple. But you saved me. Seattle breathed around them, rain-scented, alive. In that cradle of chaos and calm, they thrived, lovers, fathers, guardians. The fight endured, but home fierce, flawed, won every dawn.